Hello everyone and welcome to the FRS. We're here tonight with round 2 of the Porsche Hypercup here in Belgium at the Zolder circuit. I'm your host Roy Weller and the drivers are just getting out on track and getting ready for this 10-minute qualifying session we have for you tonight, followed by a 42-minute race. First of our drivers are just coming around the final corner now to start the first of tonight's flying laps. And it is Kevin Nordemir who will take us around this Zolder circuit first. And let's jump on board with Nordemir. We come through the first sector in the lovely industrial zone here near the Zolder circuit. It's certainly an odd scenery, but as Nordemir takes to the gravel there, that won't be helping his lap time any. Come down to the first of the 3 chicanes we have here. Very bumpy entry and exit of the chicane. Have to be careful over those curbs, but cutting it as much as is safe is the fastest way through with, well, 2 of the 3 chicanes around here, as Nordy cuts that chicane a little better. Towards the third sector of the Zolder circuit. To the hairpin. Take a slightly late apex here and get on the power. And it's just now a short run down to the final chicane for Kevin Nordemir. And this should be our first time on the board, if I am not mistaken. Actually, I think we might have just one more coming on above, which is Bostic with a 1 minute 33.2. This lap, unfortunately, from Nordemir was invalidated. So we'll have to go again before he gets a time up on the board. As Christophe Demey in the white flag racing car goes onto provisional pole with a 1:32.352. Sven Klein, next of our drivers to cross the line and takes provisional pole by almost 9/10 of a second. Right, one of our race leaders throughout the race of the last race. We are missing one. Actually, we are missing our race winner from last. Oh, no, sorry, we're not. There's Jez in P2. We do have our 2 battlers for the win last time out, which were Jezik and Stitchbury. Stitchbury currently sitting down in P6. I expect we've got more to see from that driver, as they are currently on a much faster lap this time around. There's a much better lap from Stitchbury. Still 0.4 of a second off of that benchmark set by Klein. As Christophe Demey bumps up into second position. It was a solid lap and only 1/10 off our current provisional pole sitter. Just 2 drivers, 2 Monteganis. Still yet to set a lap time as Stefano, currently on a valid lap at the moment, just coming round to start the third sector. Looks like there's a damage on the front of the car of Stefano there. Unexpected to see that in a qualifying session, so I do wonder what has happened there. Nothing appearing on my instant sheet at the moment. Just the final chicane now, and Stefano should be able to get a time up on the board. Coming across the line now, and that will be a 1:39.0 Stefano Montanani. Welcome, Graga. I mean, if you think it's sad that so many people are driving, so few people are driving this, you are more than free to join up yourself. As we see Stefano just becoming a little bit of a mobile chicane as they come up to the very, very stationary chicane. That could have been a little bit of a, I'm sure the car ahead of him will not be best pleased. I'm not sure who that is at the moment, but I believe it's on an invalid lap, whoever it is. We've got yellow flags out for Stitchbury. What has happened to Stitchbury? Oh, just a little bit too much curb on the first part of that chicane. And a nice little donut in the grass, and gets himself back underway without losing too much valuable time during this qualifying session. As well, we don't have that many drivers, but such a short circuit like it is here at Zolder, getting a little bit of traffic woes for some drivers. As our race winner last time out, Igor Jerzyk, currently down in 6th position. On an improving lap at the moment, should be able to jump up the board here, and does, up into P2. And Klein with another blistering lap in this session, a 1:31.0. This Porsche Cup Championship very much seeming like the we get one driver who dominates the qualifying session. Although last time out that was Stitchbury, and Jerzyk was able to come through and win that race, so just hope that dominance does not translate over to the race for Klein, and that is a heavy impact with the wall there for Jerzyk, so it will not be improving on this lap. And with only 22 seconds remaining of this qualifying session, we will not have an opportunity to go again. As I think one of our last cars to actually set a faster lap will be that of Christophe Demey. Doesn't have to find too much to be able to jump ahead of Jerzyk. So this should be good enough for P2 as he crosses the line. Yes, it is still 1.8 seconds off. Sorry, 1.8 tenths off of our pole sitter of Klein. But this is much closer than we saw last time out at Barcelona. So hopefully there will be a battle for the lead again. Time out at Zolder. As we just wait for our drivers to all turn to pits, we will go for a short break. And I will make sure we have all of the session information up on the screen for you. As I do notice that is missing right now. We'll do that very shortly. Let's race. Welcome back. And as our drivers form up the grid, just enough time for us to remind you of our starting order. On pole position, we have got Christophe Demey. Then we have Ben Klein, rounding up the front row. In third position, we have got Igor Jerzik. And next to him is Gochen Akdenitz. Ewan Ditchbury. Up is Ostick. Kevin Nordemir in 7th. In 8th, we've got Antonio Montanani. And rounding out our field tonight will be Stefano Montanani, as we hear the drivers start up their engines and get ready to lead away on this short formation lap. And then we will be underway for 47 minutes of racing here tonight. A single mandatory pit stop for our drivers. This will be a race filled with action, as we've got a car off the track. I think that was Klein. But we are getting ready to go racing. Who was that dropping to the back, I believe? Yeah, that is Sven Klein. I'm not sure if they have an issue at the moment, but that has allowed Christophe Demey to get away relatively unopposed at the start. As we've got Antonio Montanani falling back, but in the pack behind they are very, very close. As drivers trying to eye up an entry into the chicane. Not the safest place on the circuit to try and make a move. As Klein has made it up 2 positions. Now make that 3 as Klein making his way past Ostick now. Next up is the driver who got pole in our first race, Stitchbury. Out in front, Christophe Demey with a 2.4 second gap. As contact there between Klein and Stitchbury. Minor contact, both drivers have managed to keep on going. As now Klein finds himself under threat from Ostick. Close battling here in the midfield, with drivers trying to, I would say trying to break the toe, but that looks more like weaving to me, as perhaps trying to incite a slap on the wrist from the stewards there. Don't really see too much of that. As Nordemir has made his way past Ostick. Doesn't look like he's too further ahead now, so what has happened here? It looks like maybe a little bit of a moment for Ostick. Oh, yeah, just gets a little bit of a snap there. Snap of oversteer and off the circuit. That has allowed Nordemir through up into E6. As Klein is all over the back of Stitchbury now. Looking for a way through. We know Stitchbury is a quick driver, perhaps not showing quite so much pace here at Zolder. Not much between them. We've got a gaggle of carts here. Already in the fight for second position behind Igor Jerzik. Christophe Demey is stretching his legs out in front, currently holding on to a 4.2 second lead, as we just saw Demey disappear out of sight. Oh, there's a little bit of a bump there between Klein and Stitchbury. You see battling hard, and Klein is yet to find a way through. Looks to the inside. And this racing is about as close as you can get without touching. And I hope by saying that I am not going to jinx the situation as Klein tries to find a way through. Getting squeezed a little to the inside by Stitchbury, but it does look like Klein has managed to eventually find their way through up into 4th position. But Stitchbury, not giving this one up, is still all over the back of 5. Oh, got a little bit of a mistake there through the chicane. What as Klein makes a mistake of his own out on the grass. These two drivers are not going to get away from each other, it seems. Further back down in the field, recovering driver Josh Ostick. Now caught up onto the back of Antonio Montanari. Looking to the inside for the final chicane, not quite close enough to try anything this time around. Going to see if he can get the run out of the final corner. Is looking promising as they come down towards turn 1. Going to go for the outside line hit, try and sweep it around and take the inside for the turn 2. Comes up quick. Montanari defends the inside momentarily, switches back to the outside, and no way past for Ostick this time around. Just dropping a little bit back is Ostick. And down towards the chicane again. That's it, Ostick just getting a little bit unstable there on the rear end, is struggling the rear grip as Antonio Montanari off the circuit. This could be an opportunity for Ostick, but this part of the track very difficult to get alongside another car. You really need to use the entire track's width to get around that. And he's now got the inside for the hairpin. This should be a fairly straightforward move for Ostick. He can just get his car inside. And that is up to P7, Josh Ostick. Hopefully this time can hold on to it as long as no other incidents on his way. Towards the front of our field now, and Sven Klein has caught to the back of Gotham Actinitz, who in turn is not far off of Igor Jersey. This battle over P2 of Christophe Demey is 6.2 seconds up the road. I'm not quite sure whether what happened for Brian at the start of this race, whether it was an attempt to go for a last to first hit, but we can just hope that they have the pace in hand to go charging after a battle for the lead. At the moment, Christophe Demey is running away with it, it seems. Actinitz. Ever closer to Jerzyk now. The longer these three fight for, the better it is. Christophe Demey is to be able to stretch his legs out in front. This trio has dropped Ewan Stitchbury, who seems to be falling back towards Kevin Nordemit. There may be a battle over 5th position coming up for us soon. But for now, We're going to keep with this battle as Ben Klein looking over the back of Brock and Actinex. Really not a point at the track that can go for an overtake without a big overlap as Klein drops away. Oh, it's still in the battle. Perhaps just a little bit of a loss of control through the chicane. Nothing too unsettling as he manages to carry on. Does look like Music has just managed to open up a little bit of a gap back to Actinex. Could present more of an opportunity for Klein. The Actinex starts to lose the slipstream from the car ahead. Cars not quite so powerful do benefit from a slipstream. Now ever closer. It does seem like this battling is costing Actinex a little bit of time, just slipping back from Jezek as we've got yellow flags out for DeMay off into the dirt. What has happened here? Let's see if we can get a quick replay of this. There's just maybe a little bit too much curb on the inside there. Oh, does well to just about keep it out of the wall and does manage to carry on. Has lost a good chunk of that lead he is established by that point, but not going to cost him too much in the long run, as long as he can keep out ahead of the cars behind him. Fine now, in touching distance, almost too literally, of the car of Actinex. First chicane again. Looking to find a place to overtake at this circuit, with it being so tight and twisted. Has good exit here from Klein, takes the inside line, compromises Actinex, and that was the opportunity he's been looking for a while now. Pounces on it, and that is up to P3 for Klein with a very, very good move. Let's see if we can get another look at that one. So Actinex getting actually a little bit squirrely out of the chicane, and that is what presents the opportunity to Klein. Come up the inside, move made by Klein. And that is now onto the bottom step of the podium at the moment for Klein. There's a little bit of an oversteer moment through the first corner. Oversteer leading to understeer and catches a little bit of gravel on the outside. There's now Klein with the car behind him. He's looking a little bit out of control. Actinex is not dropping back too much from Klein now. He's continuing to take the fight. Ooh, let's not forget our pole sitter by about half a second. Lap of this race. Very short lap here at Zolder. But the closest battle we have on track at the moment is between these two cars of Klein and Actinex for P3. It is our driver in P3 who currently holds the fastest lap of the race in 1:31.0. That is compared to a 1:31.5 car ahead of it, and a 1:31.2 of our race leader, Christophe Demey. But it seems that there is some pace in hand for Klein, which needs to be able to utilise it, and maybe an opportunity to catch up. I have to see at the end of the lap what is our comparative lap times. Now that Klein finds himself in green air without a car to distract him in front. We'll start easing into that gap to our race leader, which currently between Klein and May sits at 6.3 seconds. Last time round, with a 1:31.2 from Demey, a 1:31.8 from Klein. So far, Christophe Demey showing he still has the pace as other drivers, as we have the first of our pitters, Kevin Nordemer, into pit road. After only 17 minutes of this race, so early pit stop for Nordemer. And I'm not sure if that's just a return to pits there, as it did look like the car just teleported. Oh, as Nordemer has left the race. I'm not quite sure why that is. Keeping with Ben Klein. That gap still at less than a second. Can work out why that was. Oh, as he runs a little bit wide there. Doesn't see. Oh! Oh wow! I was going to say that doesn't seem so dramatic, but wow. Teach me for speaking too soon there, as I suspect we will see, and we do. Ostick heading into pit road. That was quite the shunt into the wall, and I imagine he's going to have quite a few seconds of damage to repair there. To the back is then Klein. The drivers having slightly up their pace now. going slightly faster than the two ahead of them. 50% opportunities as the race goes on. Difference between Igor Jerzy and Sven Klein. Klein 0.3 of a second faster last time around, is beginning to eat into that gap. That partner sitting at 2 seconds. You can see it very visually here on the television cameras. Beginning to push with that gap creeping down. And you can see our Jerzy getting closer and closer. And is that traffic that I spy up ahead? Or Jerzy? I believe it is. It's the number 87 car. Stefano only one of our cars to have cleared their mandatory pit stop. We'll have to keep an eye when other drivers about to come in to make their pit stop, as we just saw Fano Montanari rejoining the track, and that is Ewan Stitchbury who goes fast. Thankfully Fano keeping himself well out of the way there. Has heavy damage to the front of that car. Probably going to have to come in and get that repaired. I'm not sure what's happened here, but now Klein right on the back of Jerzy. Is there a mistake in there for Jerzy? That gap has closed up awfully quickly, and now Klein on the attack. Through the first corner as Klein has pulled ahead, but this will turn into the inside for Jerzy, but no, Klein is well ahead by the entry to the second corner. Now finds himself up in P2. There's two more drivers, Ewan Stitchbury and Antonio Montanari, head into pit road. Curiously enough, Fano opting to stay out with I can imagine it must be a horrible to drive Porsche Cup car at the moment. And that's what we were struggling with, was oversteer before, and has now just broken the front enough to rebalance the car out. Igor Jerzy, having been passed now by Sven Klein, finds himself slap bang in the middle between Klein and Jerzy, and Antonio Montanari with the disqualification from the race. I can only imagine that was speeding into the pit lane. And if we can see the pit entry for Antonio. Oh, no, we can't. A little bit too late for that one, unfortunately. But I think that was a little bit too hot into the pit lane. Fortunately, we can't see how fast he was when he entered, but must have been considerable for the stewards to opt for disqualification. Well, then there was 7. As we have lost 2 of our drivers tonight. Ben Klein, our pole sitter, and driver who was showing they had a considerable amount of pace through the qualifying session, was able to consistently get the fastest lap. It was a very heavy twitch there. And it looks like our race leader, Dr. May, has just found the dirt himself, so both these drivers pushing hard. Now, seems like Doc and Actinex be the next car to catch up with Jersey. Jersey having a oh, as that was a Sven Klein just rejoining the racing surface. So what has happened here for Klein? Oh, just a bit too much throttle on the curb, and wow, in his eagerness to try and recover it, pitches the car around again, and that is a huge time loss for Ben Klein on 2 positions down as well. Now finds himself 4 seconds off the back. Doc and Actinex with the work all to do again. Also be under threat from Ewan Stitchbury, who is now just 1 minute 5 seconds off of Klein, and Klein still to make his mandatory pit stop in this race. Stitchbury, the first of those drivers who have cleared that mandatory pit stop. May, Igor Jerzyk and Gokhan Akdeniz. Opting to dive into pit road, doesn't get caught out by the late braking point for the entry to the pit. Occasionally we do see drivers who are approaching the pit lane close behind another car just get suckered into a crash. But good caution shown there by Akdeniz. And now this is going to be the battle of the in-lap versus the out-lap, I would imagine. Unless Igor is opting to extend on this stint. We do have a mandatory fueling and tyre change. But often when you have a mandatory tyre change, it does make sense just to split the race in half. Where will Actinex emerge as we have Stitchbury now through the 3rd sector. Long pit exit here at Zolder. You emerge after turn 2, but actually ends up being a bit of a weird one because the pit exit is actually in line with turn 1. As we see Gokhan Akdeniz emerging comfortably ahead of Ewan Stitchbury, but Stitchbury should have the warmer tyres. We're already up to pressure and will be able to start attacking, whereas Akdeniz may just need to be cautious for a little while they build those pressures, build those temperatures, and it is Stitchbury who is on the attack on the back of Akdeniz. As we have Klein into pit road as well, who we can only imagine will come out behind this battle, so it's worked out well for Stitchbury. Just needs to hold on to these tyres until the end of the race now, of course. But will have gained track position over Klein, I can imagine, due to where he was in relation to Actinex before the stop. And Stitchbury looking like he's got the pace at the moment. He's got himself comfortable in this new set of tyres. He's ready to start attacking. Number 19 emerge back out onto track of Klein. He's really comfortably ahead. So actually, if we take a look at the relative pit times, and this is where the time was made up for Klein. Decent in lap, and also time stopped in for Actinex was 31 seconds, whereas Klein only spending 27 seconds stopped in his box. Actually means, apologies, I must have been incorrect. This must not be a mandatory tyre change for these drivers. So Actinex looking like he's opted to change his tyres, whereas both Klein and Stitchbury just refueled with less than 30 seconds stopped. So this could be interesting to see who can maintain the pace towards the end of the race. It's now 5 seconds behind Klein. And our first and second position cars are yet to make their mandatory pit stop. You can see from the drivers who are already pitted, from pit entry to pit exit, seems to take around just over a minute, about a minute and 5 seconds. But every chance for Klein to profit when Jerzik does make his trip into pit road, which I can't imagine will be too long now, as Christophe de May heads into pit road, as does Igor Jerzik. So we'll soon have the majority of our drivers having completed their mandatory pit stop, and all will be comparable in terms of their on-track position. Just keep an eye on that number 19 marker on that mini-map as we continue to watch this battle between Stitchbury and Gok and Actinex. To the straight leading up to the final chicane. Not seeing any movement from our leaders. Actually, no, looks like our leaders are coming out of the pits now, so still going to be comfortably ahead of Klein. Ahead of this battle between Actinex and Stitchbury. Stefano is now our final driver to have made their mandatory pit stop. Well, as Igor Jerzik finds himself now behind this battle between Actinex and Stitchbury, so that has not gone well for Igor Jerzik. He is comfortably ahead before the pit stop, spending 36 seconds stopped in his pit box. I can imagine there was damage to repair there for Jerzik, and that has cost him time, and means he finds himself behind Klein, Actinex and Stitchbury after being ahead of him before the pit stops. But Jerzik with work to do. Driver on the move at the moment is Stitchbury. earlier in the race. Now seems to be finding himself a bit more comfortable, perhaps not putting in as much practice as we would like before the race and just finding his feet as we go here, but is slowly but surely catching on to the back of the green FRS line car ahead. It does appear that Stefano Montanari has not cleared his mandatory pit stop. So I'm not sure if that's due to stopping his box or take a look actually. So we'll stop to his box for 38 seconds. But must not have refueled as not cleared his mandatory pit stop. Into the back of Actonets with a late on the brakes move there from Stitchbury. Does well just to keep the car pointing in a straight line and avoids going into the back of Actonets. Stitchbury does seem to now just be dropping away a little bit from the back of Actonets. With the strategy to not change the tyres is just not paying off now for Stitchbury, beginning to get through the best of those tyres, perhaps. I'm sure I won't need to remind you, these Porsche Cup cars. Oh, without traction control as, wow. Stitchbury very much proving my point for me there as gets very, very sideways, and this is going to present an opportunity to Igor Jerzik, who's now caught right onto the back of him. As we said before, Jerzik did spend 36 seconds stopped in his pit box, so Magic changed tyres and repaired some damage, so he's going to be in the best possible condition. Two of them now put back up onto the back of Doc and Actonets. Got the traffic of Montanari ahead. Montanari, who I believe, it's got heavy damage to the front of that car. Really struggling for performance now. battle for the final podium position. Into the final 8 minutes of this race. Does seem like Christophe Demey, after the weird call of Sven Klein to drop back to the back of the field. Oh, as Stitzbury just catches the dirt on the outside, and that is going to, well, completely stop his charge. He now finds himself under threat from Ostick behind. What happened? Yeah, if we can get a view from the helicam. I don't think we've quite gone back far enough, but sorry, gone back too far, but that was well, Stitzbury eating the dirt and then having a heavy collision with the wall. That is now freed up. Jerzyk be the one to start to attack Akdenetz. And has given Ostick something to race for, as Akdenetz cuts over the second part of the chicane. Can't be doing that too many times. Do not want to pick up a drive-through penalty, especially with so few cars on the grid, and they're all quite close together. Drive-through penalty would really spell the end for any of these drivers' race. As Igor's looking to make the move on Akdenetz, not quite close enough to try it into the chicane. That gap between Klein and Demey coming down quite rapidly now. In that past lap, the difference in time over a second. Klein with a 1:31.2 to Demey's 1:32.5. Klein showing some pace, and we may have to check back into that fight before the end of the race. Still a 2.3 second gap to try and overcome, so it might be just a little bit too late for Klein. We will keep an eye on that gap as we watch this battle between Akdenetz and Jerzyk. Jerzyk would sorely like to get past Akdenetz here, as we try and just about every single line through these corners. And although Akdenetz not looking especially comfortable at this point in the race, again taking a suboptimal line through the chicane, is holding on to position. But at the end of the day, that is what counts. As Akdenetz again getting just a little bit out of control in the rear, is giving the opportunity to Igor, but I don't think it's going to be enough as they head into the final chicane. Seems that Akdenetz doing just enough to allow Jerzyk to catch up, but not to pull alongside, which is so much the difference here at this circuit, as Jerzyk with a bold move up the inside. Gonna turn to the outside now for the second corner. Perhaps a misjudgment here from Jerzyk, but looks like trying to just carry the speed around the corner. Akdenetz leaving perhaps just a little bit too much room there on the inside. Didn't have to leave quite as much room, and this is going to allow Jerzyk, it looks like, to sweep around the outside. So that is a great battle between the two of them, very respectful, and perhaps leaving each other just a little bit too much room at some points. And perhaps Akdenetz just wanting to recognise that they find themselves in a strong position anyway. The third and fourth is not much of a difference, and doesn't want to I'd like to avoid contact as much as possible. Stitchbury 11 seconds behind, but not insurmountable by any means if one of these two drivers was to have a spin. That gap between DeMay and Klein is still continuing to come down. Klein pushing hard. I think we're going to have just a couple more laps of this race remaining. So I mean, this lap and then 2 more, I would imagine. As Klein can see DeMay, that gap now at 1.1 seconds. And I think as Klein gets closer, can smell that victory, getting closer and closer. He's just urging him to push on. Let's take a few more risks. You see the race win in his sights. He's dicing with the track limits there. With the gravel so close to the edge of the circuit on so many of these corners, you run the risk of upsetting the race as Klein getting very sideways. Through the second chicane, does well to collect it together. As we come down the back straight, actually, it looks like, looking at our lap times and looking at the times remaining on the clock, it's actually going to be the final lap we are now heading into. So this is it. Last ditch effort from Sven Klein. Got that gap down to half a second. Was 0.8 of a second faster on that lap. This is not over by any means, as Sven Klein is wrestling that car around this Zolder circuit. This is going to be an absolute showstopper of a finish here in Belgium as we come down towards the first chicane. Sven Klein just 0.2 seconds behind our race leader Christophe DeMay and is almost pushing his competitor through the circuit. And with the part of the track we have left, it's going to take a mistake from DeMay to allow Klein through. Just needs to keep his nose clean here. But with the speed that Klein is showing, if any sort of opportunity is given, as that is a mad dive up the inside by Klein. And, well, I mean, I don't think he deserved to go to actually take the position there. That was a bit over exuberant. So, yep, we'll have to sit back in behind and settle for P2. It was an ambitious send up the inside, but was far too far back for really to be expecting anything from that. So our race winner, Christophe DeMay, but Sven Klein did not make that easy for him as, well, perhaps just a little annoyed with himself there, dives it into the wall. Final place on the podium will go to Igor Jerzik, followed closely behind. Another good battle on the circuit with Gökhan Akdeniz. And we have Ewan Stitchbury, found himself in a few incidents and brings it home in P5. We followed in P6 by Josh Ostick. Who gives himself a little bit of a celebratory donut there as the final heavily damaged car to cross the line, who I imagine will also get a 130-second penalty for not serving their mandatory pit stop. Not that it will cost them much more, but our final finisher in P7 is Stefano Montanani. Oh, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and the FRS Porsche Hypercup will return next week as we head to I am stalling for time while I find out, because I have forgotten, to Silverstone, which will be a very interesting track to see these Porsche Cup cars driving around. So, back next time, next Monday at 6 UTC, 7 UK time. Till then, a very lovely rest of your day, and remember to stay on track. Good night.